Greetings, intrepid viewer. I am Dr. Gallo, and I bid you welcome to House of Cryptids. Now, I love a good werewolf movie. Some of my favourite lycanthropes are gracing your screen right now. But, let's face it, that full moon thing is nonsense. It's only ever a full moon for a split second and then it's gone straight back to its waning phase. If that's what triggered a transformation, they'd fart out a single hair on their nose and it would fall off again in the time it takes to say, Larry Talbot. But, tonight, prepare to be shocked, horrified, thrilled and enthralled as we travel around the globe chasing the tales of werewolves rampaging across the land. In these 4 documented historical cases, you will find blood, murder, mayhem, and body hair, for a good measure. In 1521, Michel Verdun was summoned to a demonic ritual in the woods by the light of the full moon by his friend, Fat Pierre. He was made to remove his clothes and anointed with a foul-smelling paste that turned him from man to wolf. Pierre rubbed the same upon himself and they began a bloodthirsty reign of terror around Poligny, France. They devoured men, women and children alike. A little boy of 7, a little girl who was eaten entirely except for a single dismembered arm, and another boy whose throat was completely torn out with one terrible bite. They picked off agricultural workers from the edges of fields and tore them to pieces, running away with bits of them clamped tightly within their bloody jaws. They were caught when Verdun, in wolf form, was shot by a traveller on the highway. He was tracked to his home where he was found, now human, cleaning a bullet hole at the same spot the traveller had shot the wolf. The 2 werewolves and another accomplice were burned alive for their crimes, but not before confessing that, in wolf form, they'd had sex with female wolves, preferring them to women. During the spring of 1603, Saint-Sever, France, was the hunting ground of another lycanthrope, 12-year-old Jean Grenier. He was heard to boast of being just one of a pack of 9 werewolves who rampaged across the land and were responsible for the disappearances of numerous little boys and girls, including a baby, wrenched from her mother's arms and carried away. Grenier said that his favourite meal was the tender flesh of a child. He was caught and confessed everything to the local magistrate, telling of how he had been taken to meet the Lord of the Forest, who had given him a wolf skin to transform him into a beast. He gave details of the times and places he had murdered his victims, and another boy and his brother stepped forward to corroborate that they had chased away a vicious wolf in exactly the same circumstances as Grenier claimed to have attacked them. He was shown mercy and sent to live with monks where he spent his final days, described as having talon-like hands, sharp wolf-like teeth and a tendency to walk on all fours. In 1849, the pine trees around a small Polish hamlet called Pałomir became a dangerous place to venture after dark. Livestock went missing first, sheep, cows, chickens, and a wolf was duly blamed. A cull was orchestrated by the locals, but the disappearances continued and soon, whatever was taking the animals moved on to human prey. After a couple of ducks were stolen from the local innkeeper, he suspected the local beggar, Swiatek, and went to his house to demand justice, smelling roasting meat as he approached. As he entered, he found Swiatek, who tried to quickly conceal something under his clothes, and the innkeeper found not a duck, but the severed head of a missing 14-year-old girl. Her limbs were roasting over the fire, and her blood had been collected into a bowl under the oven. The true number of his victims is not known, but Swaciek confessed to 6 murders, apparently developing a taste for human flesh after several people in the village were killed in a fire at the tavern, and he decided not to waste the meat. He never confessed to being a werewolf, but he was strongly suspected of such by locals because of his lust for blood and flesh. He hanged himself in prison whilst he awaited trial. Accounts of our final lycanthrope survive only through stories passed down over the years. The official court documents were so horrifying that they were burned and their secrets lost, along with his true name. Dubbed the werewolf of Châtillon, this predator lured unwary children to his tailor's shop in the late 1500s, with promises of sweets and treats, only to abuse and murder them, dismembering their bodies and storing them in barrels in the shop's cellar. Outside the town he stalked the nearby forest as a wolf, killing and eating stray travellers on the spot, instead of risking detection by bringing the bodies back to the tailor shop. At some point, and for reasons unknown, the alarm was, however, raised, and the bodies in the cellar found. He was apparently unrepentant, and he was burned alive for his crimes, cursing his executioners with his dying breaths. Do you think werewolves still walk among us? I'd tell you not to worry, but if you've ever had any sort of pet allergy that inexplicably kicked in and made you start sneezing while you were walking down a crowded street, well, chances are you were walking past a werewolf and didn't even know.